So I think it's about time that we talk about Super Smash Brothers, just because we haven't talked about it for quite some time, and I wanted to discuss a couple different things that happened with Masahiro Sakurai, talking about one of, I would say, the odd ducks in the Super Smash Brothers franchise, but beloved by so many people because of the single player and that Super Smash Brothers Brawl. I also want to go over some of the popular things that I see online when it comes to Nintendo potentially doing a new Super Smash Brothers game, and what can they do to top Ultimate, or what can they have that's going to be better than that. And as somebody who's been playing Super Smash Brothers from the beginning, which I think I'll also tell you guys the story when I first found out about Super Smash Brothers, we'll talk about that in just a bit. But as somebody who's been playing from the beginning with the N64, there's so many different things I think they can do, that I think that they will do, that Masahiro Sakurai is working on, maybe as I speak right now, on the next Super Smash Brothers game. But before we get into all that, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 150,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer every day, so if you're someone new, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the best Nintendo Switch 2 and RPG content out there. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Shout outs to my man Stealth, because he actually clipped a couple of these different snippets from Masahiro Sakurai and Mr. Iwata that talked about Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which is very nostalgic for a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys probably grew up with the Wii, and in that era, I was already, I think, in college when that, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. I was already in college when that game came out, but I wanted to talk about this because I found this to be fascinating. So shout outs to Stealth on this one. And we're going to go over the first part here, where he talked about how the former Nintendo CEO, Mr. Satoru Iwata, once said that Super Smash Bros. Is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, saying, quote, "I believe that playing Smash Bros. Is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's a game play that offers a unique experience each and every time you play. I think Super Smash Bros. Brawl is designed to maximize a player's ability to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime encounter. Whether it's the high level of improvisation, the receipt of the stage of the day, or the ability to battle random opponents, this game uses features like these and others to reinforce this once-in-a-lifetime philosophy, and I hope that our players make the most of it." Very well said by a legend out there. And yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Super Smash Brothers. Going back to when I first saw it, and I'll go over this story before I get into the next part here, but when I first saw it, I was at the dentist's office, I think back in like 1997 or 1998. I forgot exactly what year, but I remember seeing a magazine at the dentist's office, and I flipped through it, and it showed Super Smash Brothers, so it must have been closer to the release of the game, and it showed Samus, and it showed Mario, and it showed Pikachu all fighting against each other, and I thought it was like a joke, like an April Fool's, or I thought it was some type of scam or not real. But when I found out and I looked through and I started reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, this game's actually real, because we didn't have the internet like that back then. It was around, but it was not like it is now at this point. It blew my mind. That was like the craziest thing that I ever saw, and I told my brother, and we were just like geeking out about this game that's going to be coming out. So yeah, Super Smash Bros. Really does feel like a once-in-a-lifetime type of thing, like one type of, I would say, situation that only one company can make, considering they've been around for so long and have all of these legendary IPs to create something, and they got the perfect person who wants to study and meticulously research every single thing about the character to put it together with Masahiro Sakurai. Now I wanted to go over another thing here when it comes to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So when talking about the development of Super Smash Bros. Brawl together, Mr. Iwata said that he had unwavering faith in Masahiro Sakurai. Quote, "My decision to pursue the project in this way rested on one point and one point alone, and it's deeply tied to the point about which I have the utmost faith in a man named Masahiro Sakurai. To state it simply, you are capable of taking a project with nothing and visualizing a completed game almost perfectly in your head. As I mentioned earlier, you and I have a long history working together at HAL Laboratory. When involved on the same project, you were able to point out the smallest details, even when the product had yet to take shape. The details were so small and so specific that, as a programmer, I thought there was no way you could know what you knew without actually trying it first. A really cool story that Stealth brought to light that I wanted to talk about too, because I was getting ready to talk about the next Super Smash Bros. Game anyway, but I wanted to bring these to light just to show you the type of respect and the type of man that Mr. Iwata was, and the type of faith that he has in Masahiro Sakurai. And even still now to this day, so many years and decades later, Masahiro Sakurai still has that passion, still has that faith. I think a lot of fans still have that faith, and Nintendo has that faith in him to get projects done, just like he did with Kirby Air Riders, where he was able to complete that in a pretty good amount of time with a ton of content, a lot of cool features and modes, and so many different things that that game does for the fans of the series. I think the next Super Smash Bros. Game, kind of getting into that, there can be so many things that he can do. Now, people have talked about how Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the ultimate game. You can't do anything from there. Look at all the characters, look at all the crossovers, and that's correct. Like, it's going to be very difficult for the next Super Smash Bros. Game to be able to have all of those characters and all of that stuff without just kind of reusing the same game and maybe adding to it, but I don't think they're going to do that. It is a possibility they could do a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch 2 edition and then just add more content into there and say, hey, this is the new Smash Bros. Game for the generation. They did that with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch 1, so they could do that. But if they don't go down that route, I think they can go this route. You don't have to have more characters in order to create a better game. What you can do is you can take the characters that you do have, you can probably have around maybe 40 to 50 characters, and with those staple characters, you can do some updates to those characters. Mario still has his moveset from like Super Smash Bros. Melee. There's like, what was it? Mario Sunshine, and there's like stuff that's old at this point. He needs updates from like Mario Odyssey and some of the newer games, maybe even Galaxy. Like, he needs some updates when it comes to his moveset. Same goes for Link, same goes for Princess Peach, same goes for so many different characters in that game. Maybe we can add some new Xenoblade characters, Noah and Mio in the house, maybe something like that. So there's quite a bit of stuff that they can do. They can take those old characters, they can completely redo their movesets and add in so much value that type of way. Because if you know how to play Mario in Smash Bros. Ultimate, you probably know how to play Mario in like all the games for the most part. So if they can actually update the movesets with new moves and new types of styles and ways and different types of frame data, I think that would create a very different type of gameplay experience. Now, another thing that they can do is actually have a quality single player experience or co-op experience that you can play with a friend right there, or even online co-op. It doesn't have to be exactly like Subspace Emissary. People always talk about that when it comes to that type of like theatrics and the movies and all of that. And I know that's what people like about it, but I do think that having a great single player campaign in a variety of different types of ways, they can do that. And I think that if you don't have to create 5,000 characters, you can dedicate some development time to creating a great single player experience for fans out there. So if you have brand new movesets, you have a much better single player experience or co-op experience with online play, and this is probably the most important, and you revamp the online. The unfortunate thing about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is that it uses delay-based netcode, and what that does is that anytime that you're trying to play with somebody online, if their connection isn't perfect or isn't good, or if there's too much distance between you guys, it is going to just be laggy. It's just going to be laggy. It's going to stop and skip and pause, and it's just not a pleasant gameplay experience from online. You add on top of that the multiple frames of buffer that Smash Bros. Already has baked into the experience, and you just get an online gameplay that just doesn't feel great to play. So fixing the buffer input delay, in addition to having rollback netcode, that would be a huge, massive, incredible adjustment to make Super Smash Bros. One up from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This next Smash Bros. Game, if it does those three things that I talked about with a better single player experience, with new movesets and everything, and with a way better online netcode with rollback, that right there would already put it in grounds, if the gameplay holds up, to be better than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yes, Ultimate will have more characters and probably more music or more stages, and I completely get all of that. But if you have better gameplay and new movesets along with way better online play so you can enjoy the game even more and a great single player experience, that is a compelling package that can can make Super Smash Bros. Feel just as fun, if not more fun, in many types of ways. Now, another problem with Smash Bros. Ultimate that a lot of people that don't play in depth don't really see is that there's a bunch of offline modes that you can't play online, like Squad Strike, or even having the stage morphing feature, which was super cool. You can go from one stage to another stage, it can all kind of connect together. You can do Squad Strike where you have like 3 different people that you pick or more, and you can fight like that. It's pretty cool, but all of that is offline, so you can't even use that online with your friends. So a much better experience through rollback netcode and actually having some of the cool features that you included into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but having that playable online in arenas and in tournaments and in different types of ways, more customization, more features, that can just create a much improved gameplay experience that I'd be completely down to play and say, I'm moving on from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because Ultimate came out back in 2018, so we're going on 8-9 years. Like, it's been a while since Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I've played a ton of that game. It's incredible. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch 1, but I am so ready to move on, and I don't need 5 billion matchups of characters. Don't get me wrong. That's one of the things that makes Smash Brothers awesome. Seeing all the different types of crossover characters and the music is what makes it special. But I'm telling you guys right now, for those who have been playing Super Smash Brothers, or even if you don't play and you're more of a casual fan, if you get those updated movesets with different characters, if you get like Astral Chain characters, you get updated Xenoblade characters, you get updated movesets for Mario and for Princess Zelda and for Link and for all these different characters that you know and love that you've been using in Smash Brothers for a while now, you will be okay with the less amount of characters as long as you get a trade-off there with better other experiences with the game. So I think that if they do all that, that's how Super Smash Bros. Can really just take the next step to be something great. Now, one thing that I know a lot of you guys are probably asking, like, well, wait a minute, how far away is this type of game? Like, what's Sakurai up to? He just finished with Kirby Air Riders. There's no way this game can be ready anytime soon, but you have to realize a couple different things here. One, Masahiro Sakurai is a master planner. He is a master planner. He is a master of time management, and he is a master of getting things done efficiently, fast, and effectively. I can guarantee you that if we get another Super Smash Brothers game, I think that Masahiro Sakurai has already started on it, just like he teased Kirby Air Riders before we even knew what he was doing. And he's like, oh yeah, I got like a secret project. And all of a sudden, oh, here it is. In the first number of months of the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, I personally felt Masahiro Sakurai already designed the docket of what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, certain development aspects of it, the team that he wants. I think Sakurai is a step ahead of everybody else there. So I think that that's already something that they want. Obviously, Super Smash Bros. Is massive. Nintendo wants Super Smash Bros. On the Switch 2. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You look at the sales numbers, this game has sold like 36 million units plus. Of course they want more Super Smash Bros. It is a massive system seller. It's a huge billion-dollar type of franchise. If you include DLC and amiibo sales and all the different stuff you can do there, they can probably command $80. Not that I want them to do $80 for this game. They can probably command $80 though for if they really felt like doing it. $70 for sure when it comes to that. So this is a game that's going to make so much money. It's going to be worth it when it comes to Sakurai's time, and of course Nintendo wanting him to do that so they can get that out on the Nintendo Switch 2. And they don't like to wait too long before they have Smash Brothers on the system. If you go all the way back, excluding the N64 where they were actually developing the concept and everything like that, but if you go from the GameCube and up, they always have it out within at least a year or two. They either want it right there at the beginning or they have it within 2 years. They don't really wait till more than 2 years. So the Nintendo Switch 2 launched in 2025. So I would expect a new Smash Brothers game before the end of 2027. So we're in early 2026 as of the time that I'm recording this video. So I would expect an announcement maybe next year and it releases at the end of next year. So that's when maybe we can see something like that. So they're going to be working on it, or they've been working on it. I think this year, 40th anniversary of Zelda. We have the Mario festivities continuing. We have Pokemon, the new Gen 10 Pokemon's coming out this year, plus stuff like Dust Bloods and a bunch of other games. So I think that they've got this year covered for the most part, and there should be some other announcements as well, and a bunch of third-party games. But I think next year is when we're going to see Super Smash Bros. Potentially the first look at a new Zelda game or something like that. So should be awesome when it comes to Switch 2, considering the type of system that it is, the power that it has, what it can do. I'm excited to see what Sakurai can do with the Nintendo Switch 2, especially coming off of what he did with Kirby Air Riders. That game's incredible when you look at everything that it does. So with Super Smash Bros., bigger team size, bigger development budget, more stuff to do. So I think it's going to be pretty good when we find out what the plans are when it comes to Smash Bros. On the Nintendo Switch 2. So what do you guys think about everything that we discussed here, from Super Smash Bros. Brawl and what the legendary Mr. Iwata had to say, Masahiro Sakurai's genius with this franchise, and the future of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.